Chapter 1. Childhood Bonds. The orphanage was a world of its own, hidden from the hustle of the outside world. Children of all ages roamed its halls, some still holding onto a sense of hope, while others wore the weight of abandonment like a second skin. Among them were two souls, a boy named Leo and a girl named Lily, inseparable from the day they first crossed paths. They met under the old oak tree that stood tall in the orphanage courtyard, its branches providing shade to the children who sought refuge from the summer sun. Leo, a quiet boy with messy dark hair and curious eyes, had been sitting by himself, tracing patterns in the dirt with a stick. Lily, with her golden curls and wide, innocent gaze, had approached him without hesitation. From that moment on, they were bound to each other, as if the world outside the orphanage ceased to exist. Their days were spent in tandem, moving like the wind through the routines of the orphanage. Breakfast in the dull dining hall, where the clatter of metal trays echoed off the walls, was always followed by a quick escape to the oak tree. They'd sit beneath it for hours, their small hands tracing the rough bark, feeling the grooves like secret messages only they could understand. They didn't need words. They had their own way of communicating. A look, a touch, the shared stillness of their world. The older children often played rough, footballs bouncing off walls, laughter mingling with shouts. But Leo and Lily stayed in their quiet corner, content in their own company. While the other children made fleeting friendships, Leo and Lily had something deeper. An unspoken understanding that in this place where people came and went, they would remain each other's constant. The orphanage was not kind to the fragile hearts of children. It was a place of routine, where staff worked to keep order, but warmth was a luxury no one could afford. Meals were served on schedule, beds made in rows, chores divided equally. But within the walls of the orphanage, Leo and Lily found a sanctuary in each other. The bleakness of their surroundings was softened by the simplicity of their bond. They needed no one else. The seasons passed, marked by the changing leaves of the oak tree. Spring brought new life to the branches, and in the warmth of summer, they would lie on the grass, staring up at the sky. Autumn covered the ground with crisp leaves, and winter wrapped the orphanage in a cold silence. But through it all, Leo and Lily remained the same, together in every moment. There were nights when the loneliness that hung in the air seemed to press down harder. The other children cried themselves to sleep, their soft sobs echoing in the dormitories. But Leo and Lily found comfort even then. Lily would climb out of her bed and sneak across the room to Leo's side. They would sit on the cold floor, their backs against the wall, watching the stars through the small, fogged-up window. In those moments, they felt invincible. Nothing could tear them apart. The years slipped by in this way, one blending into the next. Birthdays came and went, marked only by the faint memory of a number scrawled on a calendar. Leo and Lily celebrated their time together by simply being near each other, their connection never wavering, never needing more than what they had. Life at the orphanage had its own rhythm, one that rarely changed. Some children left, adopted by strangers who came looking for a piece of joy to take home. New faces arrived, filling empty beds and learning the unspoken rules of the place. But for Leo and Lily, nothing changed. They remained at each other's side, untouched by the revolving door of arrivals and departures. Every afternoon, as the sun began to set and cast long shadows across the courtyard, they would return to the oak tree. The branches seemed to shelter them, offering a canopy under which the world felt a little less harsh. They would sit in the dirt, their knees pulled up to their chests, watching the sky turn from blue to orange, then to purple as night fell. It was during these moments that they felt the depth of their bond the most, as if the silence between them was more powerful than any words could ever be. There was an unspoken truth that lingered in the air, one neither of them acknowledged. The day would come when everything would change. Adoption was a looming possibility, always there but never spoken of. Some days, a stranger would visit the orphanage, walking the halls with the headmistress, peering into the lives of the children as if picking a favorite book from a shelf. Leo and Lily watched this happen time and again, their hands tightening in each other's grip as if holding on could stop the inevitable. But for now, in the stillness of their shared moments, none of that mattered. What mattered was the now, the feeling of the grass beneath them, the scent of the earth after a light rain, the way the sky seemed to stretch out forever above their heads. It was in these moments that their bond grew stronger, unbreakable, forged in the fires of their shared childhood. The world outside the orphanage might have been vast and unknowable, but for Leo and Lily, it was simple. They had each other. And in a place where so much was uncertain, that was everything. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, they sat side by side, unaware of what the future would hold. For now, the warmth of their connection was enough to ward off the cold uncertainty that lurked just beyond the walls of the orphanage. And so, they stayed together under the oak tree, two inseparable souls, bound by a love that needed no words. Chapter 2. Inseparable Hearts. The days at the orphanage passed in quiet monotony, but for Leo and Lily, each one was a thread in the tapestry of their bond. They had become a fixture in the courtyard, always together under the sprawling branches of the old oak tree. The other children took notice, though none interfered. It was as if Leo and Lily existed in a world of their own, one that others could observe but not enter. Each morning, the orphanage came alive with the sounds of children bustling through their routines. Feet shuffling on cold floors, the clatter of bowls at breakfast, and the occasional scuffle between restless boys. Leo and Lily, however, moved through the noise like a calm current beneath a storm. They always found each other, no matter how crowded or chaotic the day began. After breakfast, they would make their way to the classroom where they joined the other children for lessons. The long wooden desks were lined with faces, some eager, others bored. Leo and Lily sat side by side, as they always did, their hands occasionally brushing as they worked through their assignments. They didn't need to look at each other to communicate. A simple nudge, a shared glance, was enough to convey everything. The others might have had questions, but none dared to ask. It was as if they understood that what Leo and Lily shared was something rare, something fragile that could be disrupted by prying eyes or unnecessary words. The lessons were a blur, much like everything else that happened inside the orphanage walls. Mathematics, reading, writing, all part of a daily rhythm that repeated itself endlessly. The teachers came and went, their faces changing with the seasons, but Leo and Lily remained constant. As soon as the lessons ended, they would head straight for the courtyard, back to their spot under the oak tree. The courtyard was their refuge. It was a place where the rules of the orphanage seemed to melt away, leaving them in a space that felt entirely their own. The tree's branches reached out like protective arms, shielding them from the world beyond. Beneath it, the earth was soft from years of fallen leaves, and the air smelled of grass and the faint scent of the nearby woods. In the afternoons, they explored the orphanage grounds, their bare feet treading familiar paths worn into the grass. There was a small garden, tucked away behind the dining hall, where rows of flowers and vegetables grew under the careful watch of the headmistress. Leo and Lily would walk along the edge of the garden, their eyes tracing the lines of marigolds and tulips that danced in the breeze. Sometimes, when no one was watching, Lily would crouch down and pluck a single flower, tucking it behind her ear or placing it gently in Leo's hand. It was a silent exchange, one that said everything they never spoke aloud. There were other places they visited in their wanderings. Behind the orphanage, beyond the old stone fence, lay a small grove of trees where the ground sloped gently downward toward a stream. The water moved slowly, its surface glinting in the sunlight, and they would sit on the bank, their feet dipped into the cool water. The birds above them chirped and flitted between the trees, creating a peaceful soundtrack to their quiet afternoons. Leo would skim stones across the surface, watching the ripples spread outward, while Lily traced patterns in the dirt, her fingers leaving delicate trails in the soft earth. It wasn't just the courtyard or the stream that bound them together. It was the sense that no matter where they were, no matter how far they roamed, they were always moving in tandem. Their connection was unspoken but felt in every step they took. The orphanage was full of noise and chaos, but in the spaces they carved out for themselves, the world seemed to slow down. They didn't need to talk to fill the silences. They had long ago learned to find peace in the quiet. The seasons changed around them, but their bond remained steadfast. Spring brought fresh flowers to the garden, and Leo would silently hand one to Lily, her smile bright but brief. Summer brought long days of sunshine, and they would lie on their backs beneath the oak tree, staring up at the sky as the clouds drifted lazily overhead. When autumn arrived, the leaves turned brilliant shades of red and gold, falling in great piles that they would kick through on their afternoon walks. Winter wrapped the orphanage in a shroud of frost, and the courtyard became a sea of icy grass. But still, Leo and Lily stayed close, huddled beneath the branches, their breath visible in the cold air. Their bond was noticed by everyone. The staff exchanged quiet glances whenever they saw the two children together, marveling at how inseparable they had become. The other children, used to the constant turnover of faces, had long ago stopped trying to make sense of Leo and Lily's relationship. They accepted it for what it was, something beyond friendship, something deeper and more enduring. It wasn't something that could be explained. It simply was. The other children had their own struggles, their own fleeting friendships and rivalries. The orphanage, for all its order, was still a place where survival meant learning to navigate the complex social webs that formed between the children. But Leo and Lily seemed untouched by it all. While others fought for attention, for approval, for a sense of belonging, they had already found what they needed in each other. As they grew older, the unspoken understanding between them deepened. They no longer spent their time with the other children, not out of malice or disdain, but because they didn't need to. The world beyond their bond seemed insignificant, a backdrop to the quiet, steady rhythm of their connection. They became experts in reading each other's moods, in sensing when the other needed comfort or space. A slight shift in posture, a longer pause between steps, was all it took to know what the other was feeling. Their connection was not one of grand gestures or outward displays of affection. It was the simple things. The way Leo would offer Lily the last piece of bread at dinner without a second thought, or the way Lily would reach for Leo's hand when the headmistress scolded one of the other children. It was the unspoken promise that they would always be there for each other, no matter what. The orphanage, for all its rigid structure, couldn't contain the quiet force of their bond. It grew with them, becoming a part of who they were, shaping the way they saw the world. Leo and Lily, though still children, had found something that others spent a lifetime searching for. A love that was pure, uncomplicated, and unwavering. They never spoke of the future. They didn't need to. In their hearts, they both knew that the world outside the orphanage would eventually come for them. That change was inevitable. But for now, they had each other. They had their moments under the oak tree, their walks through the garden, and their afternoons by the stream. And that was enough. The orphanage walls might have been confining, but within them, Leo and Lily had created a world of their own. A world where their hearts beat in unison, where their footsteps always fell in sync, and where they knew, without a doubt, that they would never be alone as long as they had each other. Chapter 3. The Sudden Goodbye. The years at the orphanage blurred together like a series of endless days, marked by routine but punctuated by moments that, for Leo and Lily, felt like the only ones that mattered. The sun would rise, they would meet, they would walk, and they would dream together in silence. But life in the orphanage was unpredictable, with children constantly coming and going, swept away by the uncertain currents of fate. Leo and Lily had always known, somewhere deep down, that this chapter of their lives wouldn't last forever. They had seen others taken away, sometimes in pairs, sometimes alone, leaving behind empty beds and spaces at the dining table. Each departure came with a quiet sense of loss, even if the ones leaving were just acquaintances. But the idea of being separated from one another? It was a thought neither could fully comprehend, one they had buried far beneath the surface of their shared world. The day Lily left began like any other. It was a warm, late spring morning, the air heavy with the scent of blooming flowers from the garden. Leo had already been waiting under their oak tree, the spot where they always started their day together. His heart quickened, as it always did, with the comfort of knowing that Lily would soon join him. But that morning was different. She was late. He waited. The seconds stretched into minutes, the minutes stretched into an hour. His eyes scanned the courtyard, the familiar faces of the children wandering about, but no sign of Lily. His heart began to beat faster, an unfamiliar worry creeping into his chest. Leo stood, pacing around the tree, glancing back toward the orphanage building. It wasn't like Lily to be late. She was always there, always by his side. His feet moved before his thoughts could catch up, carrying him quickly across the courtyard, through the heavy wooden door of the orphanage, and down the hallway toward the room they both slept in. But when he reached the dormitory, Lily wasn't there. Instead, he found her bed stripped bare, the blankets folded neatly at the foot of the mattress. The few personal belongings she had, a doll with a missing eye, a ribbon she always tied in her hair, were gone. The room felt colder without her presence, as if the warmth she brought had vanished with her things. His mind raced, struggling to understand. She couldn't be gone. Not Lily. They had spent every moment together for years, their lives intertwined like the roots of the oak tree they called their own. She couldn't just disappear. But as he stood there, staring at the empty bed, the truth began to settle in like a heavy weight in his chest. She had been adopted, taken away, without warning, without a goodbye. The next hours passed in a blur for Leo. He wandered through the orphanage in a daze, every step feeling like he was moving through a world that no longer made sense. The courtyard, once their refuge, now felt barren, the oak tree a lonely figure against the empty sky. The garden, the stream, the halls they had walked together. All of it felt hollow without her by his side. He couldn't bring himself to join the other children for meals. The long tables in the dining hall were filled with chatter and laughter, but to Leo, it was just noise. He could feel the stares of the others, the way they glanced at him with pity, as if they knew exactly what had happened. But no one approached him. No one tried to offer comfort. They understood that the loss of someone like Lily couldn't be eased with words or gestures. The orphanage staff went about their duties, their eyes full of sympathy whenever they passed Leo in the halls. But they had seen this before. They had seen the bonds children formed, the way they clung to each other in the absence of family, only to be torn apart by the whims of fate. For them, it was just another adoption. For Leo, it was the loss of everything. Days turned into weeks, and still, the ache in Leo's heart remained. He would sit beneath the oak tree, staring at the spot where Lily used to sit, her presence so vivid in his mind that he almost expected her to appear at any moment. But she never did. The space beside him remained empty, and the silence that had once been a comfort between them now felt unbearable. He stopped exploring the garden. He stopped visiting the stream. Even the other children began to fade from his awareness, their voices and faces becoming distant, as if they belonged to a world he no longer recognized. Without Lily, the orphanage had become a place of shadows, a shell of what it once was. Everything reminded him of her. The way the sunlight filtered through the leaves of the oak tree, the sound of the wind rustling the grass, the sight of a single flower blooming in the garden. The seasons changed around him. Summer's warmth faded into the cool crispness of autumn, and the once green leaves of the oak tree turned a brilliant gold, falling one by one to the ground. Winter followed, blanketing the orphanage in a shroud of snow, the cold air biting at Leo's skin as he wandered the grounds alone. Still, he waited. He couldn't let go of the hope that one day, somehow, she would come back. He carried a piece of her with him always, the ribbon she had once worn in her hair. He had found it on her bed the day she left, tucked beneath the corner of the pillow, as if she had left it behind for him. He kept it in his pocket, his fingers brushing against the soft fabric whenever the weight of her absence became too much to bear. It was a small thing, but it was all he had left of her. Life at the orphanage continued, but for Leo, time had lost its meaning. The faces of the other children changed as new arrivals replaced those who had been adopted. The staff remained the same, but they grew older, their hair turning gray and their movements slower. But Leo's heart stayed frozen in the moment when Lily had been taken from him, unable to move forward, unable to forget. The ache of her absence became a constant companion, a shadow that followed him wherever he went. But through it all, he clung to the memories they had shared. The walks through the garden, the afternoons by the stream, the quiet moments beneath the oak tree. He replayed those moments in his mind, over and over again, as if by holding on to them tightly enough, he could keep her with him. The world outside the orphanage continued to turn, oblivious to the small heartbreak that had unfolded within its walls. Children came and went, their lives shifting and changing with the tides of chance. But for Leo, nothing could change the simple, unshakable truth that had defined his life since the day Lily left. He had lost the one person who made the world make sense. And yet, even in the depths of his sorrow, a small flicker of hope remained, a fragile, persistent belief that somehow, somewhere, their paths would cross again. For now, though, all he could do was wait, with the quiet understanding that love, even in absence, endures. Chapter 4: The New Life. Time moved in strange ways for Lily. Her life in the orphanage had been defined by the steady rhythm of routine, each day a mirror of the last. But the day she was adopted shattered that routine and plunged her into a world that felt both overwhelming and unfamiliar. The home she had been brought to was large, filled with the sounds of voices and laughter that were foreign to her after years of silence and isolation with Leo. Her new parents were kind, though distant in the way adults often were with children they didn't yet fully understand. They gave her everything they thought she needed: new clothes, toys, a room of her own with a soft bed and thick blankets. But what they couldn't give her was the comfort of the only home she had ever known, the orphanage, and the one person who made her feel like she belonged in the world: Leo. The first few weeks in her new home passed in a daze. Every corner of the house seemed unfamiliar, from the creaking wooden staircase to the large windows that let in sunlight at strange angles, casting long shadows across the floor. The yard was different too, larger, with neatly trimmed hedges and a garden that seemed too perfect, too polished compared to the wild beauty of the orphanage grounds. Lily missed the freedom of the overgrown garden, where she and Leo would lose themselves for hours among the flowers and tall grass. Each night, she lay in her new bed, staring up at the ceiling, tracing the patterns in the plaster with her eyes as she fought against the tears that threatened to spill over. The bed was softer than the one at the orphanage, the blankets thicker and warmer, but it felt cold without Leo nearby. Every creak of the house in the quiet of night reminded her of the creaking floors of the orphanage dormitory, where she would often wake to find Leo already sitting up, waiting for her to join him under the oak tree. The nights were the hardest. In the orphanage, she had grown used to the steady sound of Leo's breathing, the comfort of knowing he was close, even in the silence. Now, the silence was oppressive, a reminder of everything she had lost. She curled up tighter beneath the blankets, clutching the small doll she had managed to keep, though it felt more like a relic from a life that no longer existed. Lily's new parents tried to help her adjust. They took her on outings to the city, where the streets were filled with bustling crowds, bright lights, and the constant hum of activity. They bought her books and toys, hoping to spark some excitement or interest. They even enrolled her in a local school, where she was surrounded by other children her age, each one eager to make friends, eager to pull her into their games and conversations. But none of it could distract her from the aching emptiness that gnawed at her heart. The other children were friendly, but Lily kept her distance. They spoke in ways that felt foreign to her, laughing and shouting in the playground, their voices filling the air with a cacophony of noise. Lily longed for the quiet companionship she had shared with Leo, the unspoken bond that had made every day at the orphanage feel like an adventure. At school, she spent most of her time sitting alone at the edge of the playground, watching the other children from a distance. The teachers noticed, of course. They would approach her gently, asking if she was okay, offering her smiles and kind words. But Lily couldn't bring herself to respond. There were no words to explain the emptiness she felt, the constant ache of missing someone who had been her entire world. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. Slowly, Lily began to adjust to her new life, though the ache of missing Leo never truly went away. She learned to navigate the hallways of her new home, finding small comforts in the routine of school and the quiet moments she spent in her room, away from the noise of the world outside. She discovered a love for drawing, spending hours at her desk sketching scenes from her memories. Her and Leo sitting under the oak tree, walking by the stream, or simply sitting together in the garden. Each drawing was a way to keep him close, even as the days stretched into a future she couldn't predict. The seasons changed outside her window. Summer faded into fall, the bright greens of the garden giving way to rich golds and reds. The air grew cooler, and with it came the slow acceptance that this new life, as strange and unfamiliar as it was now her reality. The rhythm of school, home, and the quiet evenings in her room became her new normal. But the memories of Leo never left her. In the quiet moments before sleep, she would close her eyes and picture his face, the way his eyes lit up when they discovered something new in the garden, or the way his hands would brush against hers as they walked side by side. She carried those memories with her, like a secret hidden deep inside, something no one else could touch. Her new parents noticed the change in her. She had become quieter, more introspective, but they assumed it was simply part of her adjustment. They continued to shower her with love and attention, doing everything they could to make her feel at home. And slowly, Lily began to appreciate their efforts. There were moments, small, fleeting moments, where she found herself smiling at something her new mother said or laughing quietly at a joke her father made during dinner. But those moments were always followed by a sharp pang of guilt, as if by allowing herself to feel happiness in this new life, she was betraying the memories of her time with Leo. As the winter months approached, Lily found herself drawn more and more to the outdoors. The cold air felt refreshing against her skin, a reminder of the crisp mornings she had spent with Leo in the orphanage courtyard. She would wrap herself in her warmest coat and venture out into the garden, wandering among the bare trees and frozen flowers, her breath misting in the air. There was a quiet beauty in the winter landscape, a stillness that reminded her of the silence she had once shared with Leo. One afternoon, as the first snowflakes began to fall, Lily stood at the edge of the garden, watching the world turn white around her. The snow covered everything, the trees, the hedges, the grass, transforming the familiar landscape into something magical. She stretched out her hand, letting the snowflakes settle on her skin, feeling their cold touch before they melted away. In that moment, she felt a small sense of peace. The snow reminded her of the seasons passing at the orphanage, of the way life moved on, even when it felt like time had stopped. She knew now that Leo was a part of her past, but he was also a part of her future. Their connection, though separated by distance and time, would never be broken. She didn't know when or how, but she believed, deep in her heart, that they would meet again. As the snow continued to fall, Lily closed her eyes and breathed in the cold, fresh air. The world was quiet, still, and for the first time since she had left the orphanage, she felt a small spark of hope. Somewhere out there, Leo was living his life, just as she was living hers. And one day, their paths would cross again. Chapter 5. Leo's Journey. Leo remained in the orphanage long after Lily left, but it wasn't the same. The space that had once felt full of life with her presence now seemed hollow, every corner echoing the absence of his closest friend. They had been inseparable, like two halves of the same soul, sharing a bond that transcended the walls of the orphanage. And now, without her, the walls felt tighter, the air thicker, and the days longer. At first, Leo tried to keep his routine the same. He would wake up early, just as he had when Lily was there, slipping out of bed and heading to the oak tree in the garden. But without her by his side, the tree seemed less grand, the garden less inviting. He found himself sitting in their usual spot, staring at the patches of grass they once played on, waiting for her to appear as if she had never left. But she didn't come. Each day that passed only deepened the void in his heart, and he felt lost in the orphanage that had once been a place of comfort. The other children, though kind, didn't understand the depth of his loss. They tried to include him in their games, encouraging him to join their play, but Leo was always distant, retreating into himself. His mind was elsewhere, focused on the memories he had shared with Lily. He couldn't forget the sound of her laughter, the way her eyes would light up when they discovered something new together, or the quiet moments they spent under the oak tree, watching the clouds drift by. Months passed, and life at the orphanage carried on as usual. New children arrived, old ones left, and the caretakers continued their daily routines. But for Leo, everything had changed. He found solace in the small things that reminded him of Lily, the doll she had left behind, the drawings they had made together, and the flowers they had planted in the garden. He often wandered through the grounds alone, his thoughts consumed by the memories of their time together. One afternoon, Leo found himself standing by the stream that ran along the edge of the orphanage property. It was a place they had often visited together, skipping stones across the water or sitting by the banks, watching the sunlight dance on the surface. The stream was calm now, the water moving slowly over the rocks, the way it always had. But to Leo, it felt different. The absence of Lily changed everything. He knelt by the water's edge and dipped his hand into the cold, clear stream, letting the water run through his fingers. It was a small comfort, but it reminded him of her presence, of the way they had shared these quiet moments together. As the seasons shifted, Leo began to grow older, his once small, delicate frame filling out as the years passed. He became one of the older children in the orphanage, no longer the quiet, introspective boy, but someone who had learned to mask his pain behind a wall of stoicism. He helped the younger children when they needed it, guided them through the routines of the orphanage, but he remained distant, his heart still tethered to the past, to the time when he and Lily had been together. In the winter months, when the snow covered the orphanage grounds, Leo would often stand by the window, watching the world outside turn white. The snow reminded him of the last winter he had spent with Lily, the way they had run through the garden, their footprints leaving trails in the fresh snow. He would press his hand against the cold glass, imagining her out there somewhere, living her life beyond the orphanage walls. He didn't know where she had gone or what her life was like now, but he held on to the hope that one day they would meet again. As he grew older, Leo began to understand that he couldn't remain in the orphanage forever. He watched as other children were adopted, their faces filled with joy as they left to start new lives with their new families. But for Leo, the prospect of leaving the orphanage didn't bring the same excitement. His heart was still anchored to the past, to the memories of Lily and the life they had shared together. He didn't want to leave without knowing where she was, without finding her again. When Leo turned 18, the time came for him to leave the orphanage. The caretakers had prepared him for this moment, guiding him through the process of finding a place to live, a job to support himself, and a future beyond the orphanage walls. But Leo felt unprepared. He wasn't ready to let go of the life he had known, the life that had been defined by his connection to Lily. On the day he was set to leave, Leo packed his few belongings into a worn-out suitcase, each item a reminder of his years at the orphanage. The doll Lily had left behind was carefully tucked inside, along with the small sketches they had made together, the ones that had faded with time but still held meaning. As he stood at the doorway, ready to step into the world beyond the orphanage, he felt a sense of both fear and hope. Fear of the unknown future that awaited him, and hope that, somewhere out there, Lily was waiting too. Leo stepped outside, feeling the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders. The air was crisp and cold, the sky a pale gray as winter lingered on. He took a deep breath, his eyes scanning the familiar landscape one last time. The oak tree stood tall in the distance, its branches bare against the winter sky, a silent witness to the years he had spent there. He turned away from the orphanage, his heart heavy but determined. He didn't know where life would take him, but he knew that he had to find her, had to close the gap that had separated them for so long. As Leo walked away from the orphanage, his mind was filled with memories of Lily. The bond they had shared was unbreakable, even after years of separation. He believed, with every fiber of his being, that they were meant to find each other again. And so, with hope as his guide, he set off into the world, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The city awaited him, a place full of possibilities and unknown paths. Leo's steps were steady, but his heart raced with anticipation. He had no map, no clear direction, but he carried with him the certainty that somewhere, beyond the horizon, Lily was waiting for him. The world was vast, but their connection was stronger than any distance. Chapter 6. Lily's New Life. Lily had spent her first few days after being adopted by the Wilson family in a whirlwind of change. The family was kind and generous, offering her the comforts of a new home, but the sudden shift in her world left her feeling unmoored. The new house was large, with polished floors, ornate furniture, and wide windows that overlooked sprawling gardens. It was beautiful, but it lacked the warmth of familiarity. Every room felt foreign, every corner unfamiliar. For the first few weeks, she wandered the halls of the house with a quiet sense of loss. The Wilsons were patient with her, understanding that she was adjusting to her new life. But even their kindness couldn't fill the emptiness that gnawed at her. She missed the orphanage, missed the predictability of its daily routine, the familiarity of its old creaking walls, and, most of all, she missed Leo. She often thought of him, her heart heavy with the weight of their separation. She wondered how he was doing, whether he missed her as much as she missed him. Every night, as she lay in her new, soft bed, she stared at the ceiling, remembering the times they had spent together under the oak tree in the orphanage garden. Those moments felt like a lifetime ago, yet they were still so vivid in her mind. Lily's new life, despite its comforts, was lonely. The Wilsons had no other children, and though they treated her with love and care, she felt isolated in their large, quiet home. The neighborhood children were polite but distant, and Lily found it hard to connect with them. They didn't understand her past, didn't know what it was like to grow up without a family, without a stable home. She was different from them, and that difference kept her on the outside. The days passed slowly, each one blending into the next. Lily attended a new school, where she sat quietly in the back of the classroom, keeping to herself. Her teachers were kind but distant, their attention divided among the other students. She felt invisible, just another face in a sea of unfamiliar ones. The friends she had made at the orphanage were gone, scattered to different places, and without Leo by her side, she felt like a part of her was missing. As the months turned into years, Lily adapted to her new life, but she never forgot about Leo. She kept their memories alive in small, quiet ways. In her room, she placed the small drawings they had made together on her desk, the papers yellowing with age but still holding the essence of their bond. She often sat by her window, staring out at the trees that lined the property, thinking of the oak tree they used to sit under. The passage of time couldn't erase the connection she felt to him, even if they were separated by distance. Lily's bond with the Wilsons grew over time, and she came to appreciate their kindness and generosity. They had given her a life she never imagined, a stable home, education, and opportunities that seemed out of reach in the orphanage. They took her on trips, showed her the world beyond the city, and supported her in her passions. She grew close to them, but deep down, she always carried a quiet longing for the part of her past she had left behind. One day, when she was in her late teens, Lily found herself walking through the gardens of the Wilson estate. It was spring, and the flowers were in full bloom, their vibrant colors spilling across the landscape like a painter's palette. The air was warm and fragrant, the sky a brilliant blue. As she walked along the garden path, her thoughts drifted, as they often did, to Leo. She wondered where he was, what he was doing, and whether he had been adopted too. She thought about how they used to dream of leaving the orphanage together, of exploring the world side by side. But life had taken them on separate paths, and now, years later, those dreams seemed distant, like faded memories of a time long gone. As Lily knelt by a bed of tulips, her fingers gently brushing the petals, she felt a pang of longing. She had grown up, moved on from the orphanage, but a part of her still belonged to that time, to that place where she and Leo had been inseparable. The connection they had shared was unlike anything she had ever experienced, and even after all these years, she couldn't shake the feeling that their story wasn't over. That evening, as she sat at her desk, Lily pulled out an old, worn notebook, the one she and Leo had shared at the orphanage. Inside were scribbles and sketches, small tokens of their friendship that she had kept hidden all these years. She flipped through the pages, her heart aching with each one. There were drawings of the oak tree, the stream, and the small animals they used to watch. There were little notes they had written to each other, messages of hope, dreams of the future. One particular sketch caught her eye. It was of the two of them, sitting under the oak tree, their backs pressed against the trunk, staring up at the sky. It was a simple drawing, but it encapsulated everything they had been to each other. As she traced the lines of the sketch with her finger, Lily felt a deep sense of resolve. She had spent too long wondering about Leo, too long imagining what could have been. It was time to find out. Over the next few weeks, Lily began a search for him. It wasn't easy. Years had passed, and tracking down someone from the orphanage wasn't a simple task. But Lily was determined. She reached out to old contacts, searched records, and followed every lead she could find. The process was slow, and at times, it felt like an impossible task, but she refused to give up. During her search, she often found herself returning to the places that reminded her of him. She visited the parks they used to play in, wandered through the streets near the orphanage, and even went back to the orphanage itself, though it had changed over the years. The oak tree was still there, standing tall and proud in the garden, its branches reaching out toward the sky. She stood beneath it, remembering the countless hours they had spent there, and vowed to keep searching until she found him. As spring turned into summer, Lily's hope grew stronger. She had found traces of him, small pieces of information that hinted at his whereabouts. He hadn't been adopted, she learned, but had stayed at the orphanage until he was old enough to leave. He had gone on to live in the city, working odd jobs, trying to make a life for himself. The more she uncovered, the more her heart raced. She was getting closer, she could feel it. And with every new piece of information, she felt the bond between them strengthening, as if the years that had separated them were slowly dissolving. She knew, deep down, that they were meant to find each other again. It was only a matter of time. Chapter 7. Leo's Journey. While Lily's life had shifted drastically, Leo's path had been one of quiet endurance. After she left, the orphanage became an emptier place. The corners that once echoed with her laughter, their shared whispers, and secret games felt hollow without her presence. He wandered through the familiar halls and gardens, feeling as though part of his soul had been torn away. The oak tree, their favorite spot, stood lonely now, its branches swaying silently in the wind. Leo didn't cry when she left, not outwardly at least. Instead, he carried the weight of her absence like a stone in his chest, something too deep and painful to express. He missed her every day, but there was nothing he could do to bring her back. He was left behind in a place that had always felt temporary, and now even more so. The other children in the orphanage continued with their lives, oblivious to the emptiness he felt. No one truly understood how close he and Lily had been, how inseparable. No one understood the void she had left behind. As time passed, Leo grew older, but he never grew out of his longing for the past. He stayed at the orphanage until he turned 18, aging out of the system with nowhere to go. Without the safety net of family or a home, he drifted into the world outside, carrying only a small backpack filled with his few belongings, including the small treasures he and Lily had shared, scraps of paper, a few drawings, and the wooden carving he had made of the oak tree. These were his anchors, reminders of a time when he wasn't alone. The first few years after leaving the orphanage were hard. Leo worked wherever he could find a job, taking odd tasks that offered just enough to get by. He slept in rundown apartments, sometimes sharing a room with other young men who were also scraping by. The city was unforgiving, a constant rush of people moving past him, as if he were invisible. He felt like a small, insignificant part of a much larger machine, a cog that no one noticed. Despite the hardships, Leo never stopped thinking about Lily. He wondered where she had gone, what kind of life she was living now. He imagined her in a big house, happy and surrounded by a family that loved her, far away from the struggles he faced every day. In his mind, she was always smiling, always filled with light, even though he knew that life wasn't always so simple. Still, the thought of her gave him hope. It kept him going during the darkest times, when the weight of the world felt unbearable. Leo's routine became a monotonous cycle of work, survival, and solitude. The city was vast, but it offered him little in the way of companionship or comfort. He spent most of his time alone, walking through the streets, looking for work, or sitting in parks, watching life pass him by. He often returned to the memories of the orphanage, not because they were perfect, but because they were the only time in his life when he had felt truly connected to someone. Those memories, though tinged with pain, were his most precious possessions. He tried to move on, but something inside him always resisted. There was a part of him that couldn't let go of the past, that believed, deep down, that his story with Lily wasn't over. He thought about searching for her, but the world was so big, and he had no idea where to start. For all he knew, she had moved far away, started a new life, and forgotten all about him. The thought hurt, but he couldn't shake the feeling that they were meant to find each other again. He held on to that hope, even when it seemed foolish. Years passed, and Leo found himself growing older but not necessarily wiser. He became skilled at surviving, at getting by with the bare minimum, but he never truly thrived. His life was a series of temporary situations, temporary jobs, temporary homes, temporary connections. Nothing lasted, nothing stuck, except for his memories of Lily. Those stayed with him, unchanged, like a light in the darkness. One evening, as he sat in a small, dimly lit room he rented from an older man, Leo pulled out the wooden carving of the oak tree. He had kept it with him all these years, tucked safely in the bottom of his backpack. He ran his fingers over the smooth wood, feeling the familiar grooves he had etched into it as a child. It was the only thing he had made with his own hands that had real meaning, the only tangible connection to his past with Lily. As he held the carving, a thought crept into his mind. Maybe it wasn't too late to find her. He had always dismissed the idea as impossible, but now, as he stared at the wooden tree, he wondered if he had been too quick to give up. The world was big, yes, but people could be found. Lives could be traced. And if he didn't try, he would regret it for the rest of his life. He knew that much. The next day, Leo began his search. He didn't know where to start, but he wasn't going to let that stop him. He visited old contacts from the orphanage, asked around at the few places that might still have records, and spent hours in libraries and online, piecing together bits of information. At first, it was slow, frustratingly so. He hit dead ends and false leads, and there were days when he thought about giving up. But something inside him wouldn't let him. He had waited too long, spent too many years wondering. Now that he had started, he couldn't stop. His search took him back to the orphanage, now a shell of its former self. The building had been repurposed, the familiar walls repainted, the garden overgrown. But the oak tree was still there, standing tall and strong, just as it always had. Leo stood beneath its branches, feeling a rush of memories flood back to him. It was under this tree that he and Lily had made their promises, shared their dreams. It was here that their bond had been forged. As he touched the bark of the tree, Leo felt a surge of determination. He was closer now, closer than he had ever been. He didn't know how or when, but he could feel it in his bones. They would find each other again. The world wasn't so big after all. Weeks turned into months, and Leo's search continued. He began to uncover small traces of Lily, old school records, a note about her adoption, mentions of her in passing. She hadn't moved far, it seemed. She was still in the city, living a life that was both familiar and distant. The more he learned, the more his hope grew. They were on parallel paths, moving closer and closer to each other without even knowing it. Leo spent his nights dreaming of the moment they would meet again. He pictured her face, imagined her reaction when she saw him after all these years. Would she remember him? Would she still feel the same connection they had shared as children? He didn't know, but he had to find out. He had to try. And so, he kept searching, following every lead, chasing every possibility. Because even after all this time, even after years of separation and silence, he still believed in the bond they had shared. He still believed that their story wasn't over, that their paths were meant to cross again. And until that day came, he would never stop looking. Chapter 8. Lily's New World. Lily's life after the orphanage had been nothing like what she had imagined as a child. She had been adopted by a couple who lived in the suburbs, far from the city's noise and chaos, in a large, well-kept house with a garden that bloomed in every season. At first, it all felt like a dream. The cozy bedroom, the warm meals, the quiet nights. It was a far cry from the shared spaces and uncertainty of the orphanage. But while her new surroundings were safe and comfortable, Lily couldn't shake the sense of loss that followed her like a shadow. Her adoptive parents, Mark and Clara, were kind, but distant. They were older and didn't seem to fully understand the deep connection she had left behind. They thought time would heal the wounds of her past, and while they provided for her, they didn't know how to fill the emptiness inside her. Lily kept her feelings to herself, not wanting to seem ungrateful for the new life they had given her. She smiled when they asked how she was doing and said all the right things, but inside, she was still that little girl standing by the orphanage gate, watching Leo fade into the distance. In her new home, everything was different. She attended a new school, where she had to learn to navigate unfamiliar faces and routines. The other students seemed to exist in a different world, one where they hadn't experienced the kind of loss that marked Lily's life. They had families, lifelong friends, and a sense of belonging that Lily could only observe from a distance. She tried to fit in, but it was hard to feel connected when her heart was still tied to someone she could no longer see. Leo's absence was a constant ache, one that grew stronger as the years went by. She had no way of contacting him, no way of knowing where he was or how he was doing. Her new parents didn't talk about the orphanage much, and when they did, it was as if her life before adoption had been a distant, forgettable chapter. But for Lily, it was everything. The memories of her days with Leo, their shared moments beneath the oak tree, were etched into her soul. As time passed, Lily began to throw herself into her studies and hobbies, hoping to fill the void. She excelled academically, driven by an inner need to prove herself in this new world. Her adoptive parents were proud of her accomplishments, praising her for her dedication and hard work. But no matter how many awards she won, how many projects she completed, the hollow space inside her remained. She missed Leo more than ever, missed the simplicity of their friendship, the understanding that didn't need words. No one in her new life could ever replace that bond. In the evenings, when the house was quiet and her parents were asleep, Lily would retreat to her bedroom and pull out a small wooden box she kept hidden beneath her bed. Inside were the few mementos she had taken from the orphanage, a small photo of her and Leo, a pressed leaf from the oak tree, and a necklace she had made from string and beads during one of their many crafting sessions. She would hold these items in her hands, running her fingers over the delicate beads, remembering the laughter and the promises they had shared. The years moved on, and so did Lily, though never fully. She graduated from high school and went on to college, studying art and design. Her creative spirit flourished in this new environment, and she began to find a way to express the emotions she had bottled up for so long. Her drawings, paintings, and sculptures often centered around themes of connection and loss, though she never spoke openly about what inspired them. Her professors praised her work, admiring the depth and complexity of her pieces, but they couldn't see the pain beneath the surface. Lily's art became her sanctuary, a place where she could pour out the emotions she couldn't articulate. Her most prized creation was a large painting of an oak tree, its branches wide and strong, reaching out to the sky. She spent hours perfecting every detail, the texture of the bark, the way the leaves caught the light, the roots that twisted deep into the ground. It was her way of holding on to the past, of keeping her connection to Leo alive, even when the world around her had changed so much. Yet, despite the passage of time, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. She had built a new life, surrounded by friends and success, but there was always a part of her that longed for the simplicity of the past, for the bond she had shared with Leo. She didn't know if he remembered her or if he had moved on completely, but she couldn't forget. The memory of him was woven into the fabric of her being, an ever-present reminder of what she had lost. One day, as she walked through the city, now in her 20s and well into her career as an artist, something caught her eye. She passed a park, and there, in the center of it, stood a tree that looked eerily similar to the oak tree from the orphanage. For a moment, Lily's breath caught in her throat. She stood frozen, staring at the tree as memories flooded back, the laughter, the whispers, the promises. It wasn't the same tree, of course, but something about it stirred a deep longing within her. Lily began to visit the park more often, sitting beneath the tree's shade, sketching its branches and leaves. It became a place of reflection for her, a small pocket of peace in the bustling city. She would spend hours there, watching the seasons change, the leaves turning from green to gold to brown. It was a reminder of the passage of time, of the cycles that continued even when everything else felt uncertain. As the years stretched on, Lily's life became more settled. She built a name for herself in the art world, her pieces gaining recognition and praise. Her adoptive parents, now elderly, continued to support her from afar, proud of the woman she had become. But despite her outward success, Lily knew that something was still incomplete. She had grown, changed, and achieved so much, but the bond she had shared with Leo was never far from her thoughts. She often wondered where he was, what kind of life he had made for himself. Had he found happiness? Had he forgotten about her? These questions lingered in the back of her mind, but she had no answers. All she had were memories, the remnants of a childhood connection that had shaped her in ways she couldn't fully explain. And so, Lily continued on, her life a blend of success and quiet longing. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew that a part of her would always be tied to the past, to the boy she had left behind, to the promise of something more. The oak tree in the park stood tall, a silent witness to her journey, its branches stretching towards the sky as if waiting for something, or someone, to return. Chapter 9. The Unexpected Reunion. The city had always been a sprawling, impersonal expanse to Leo, but today, it seemed a little less daunting. He had followed leads and gathered bits of information, meticulously piecing together a picture of Lily's life, though it was still fragmented and incomplete. His journey had been long and arduous, marked by countless hours of searching and frustration. But today, something felt different, like he was on the verge of discovering something significant. After months of sifting through records and visiting various locations, Leo finally came across a lead that seemed promising. It was a small art gallery downtown, one that had recently featured a collection of paintings by an artist named Lily Patterson. The name was a common one, but the pieces were described as deeply evocative, full of emotional depth. Something about it struck a chord with him. An intuition, perhaps. He decided to visit the gallery, hoping to find some connection, however tenuous, to Lily. As Leo walked through the bustling streets towards the gallery, the city felt alive with possibility. The gallery itself was housed in a charming building with large windows and elegant, understated decor. He entered, feeling a mixture of hope and apprehension. The interior was a calm, serene space, with soft lighting that highlighted the artworks displayed on the walls. Leo moved through the gallery slowly, taking in the various pieces with a critical eye. The paintings were a mix of abstract and representational art, each one carrying an emotional weight that seemed to transcend mere brushstrokes. He paused in front of a large canvas depicting an oak tree, its branches spread wide, roots twisting deep into the soil. It was an arresting piece, rich with detail and emotion. As he stood there, mesmerized by the painting, a gallery attendant approached him. They spoke briefly, their words lost in the background noise of Leo's thoughts. The attendant's gestures indicated that the artist was present, though Leo didn't catch the specifics. His heart pounded in his chest as he was guided to a private area where the artist might be available. The thought of finally finding Lily, after all these years, filled him with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The private area was a small, quiet room filled with more artworks. Leo's eyes scanned the room, taking in the array of paintings and sketches. He was almost overwhelmed by the sense of familiarity and nostalgia that pervaded the space. As he turned a corner, he saw her, Lily, standing near a large easel, her back turned to him. The sight of her was both exhilarating and disorienting. Lily was absorbed in her work, her movements fluid and graceful as she applied the finishing touches to a painting. Her presence was both serene and captivating, a reflection of the talent and depth that had always characterized her art. Leo hesitated, unsure of how to approach her. The years had changed them both, and he wasn't certain how she would react to seeing him after so long. He took a deep breath, gathering his courage. He approached her quietly, allowing the moment to unfold naturally. As he neared, Lily turned, her eyes widening in surprise. The recognition was instantaneous, a spark of recognition crossing her face. Leo's heart skipped a beat as their gazes met, and the years of separation seemed to melt away. The room fell into a hush, the air thick with unspoken words and emotions. Lily's expression shifted from surprise to a tender, wistful smile. It was as if she had been waiting for this moment, though she had no way of knowing it would come. Leo felt a surge of relief and joy, tempered by the uncertainty of how to bridge the gap that time had created. They stood there, facing each other, the weight of their shared history filling the space between them. Leo's eyes searched Lily's face, looking for traces of the little girl he had known, while Lily searched for the boy she had lost. The years had changed them, but the connection they once shared remained palpable, a thread linking their past to the present. As they continued to gaze at each other, the world outside seemed to fade away. The gallery, the city, the passing years, they all became distant, secondary to the reunion unfolding before them. The oak tree painting remained a poignant reminder of their shared past, a symbol of the bond that had endured despite the passage of time. Eventually, Lily set down her brush and took a tentative step towards Leo. The air between them was filled with a quiet, palpable tension, a mixture of hope, fear, and longing. As she reached out, Leo did the same, their hands meeting in a gentle, tentative touch. The contact was electric, a spark of recognition and connection that transcended words. They sat together, surrounded by the art that had been a refuge for Lily and a symbol of her journey. The room was filled with a sense of calm and familiarity, as if they had never been apart. They began to catch up on the years they had lost, sharing their stories and experiences. Though they didn't speak, the exchange of glances, the touch of their hands, and the shared understanding conveyed everything they needed to know. The gallery, with its soft lighting and elegant decor, became a backdrop to their reunion. The paintings on the walls seemed to echo their emotions, each brushstroke a testament to the depth of their connection. As they sat together, the past and present merged, creating a new narrative that honored their shared history while embracing the future. Time seemed to stretch and contract as they reconnected, the moments stretching into hours. They shared their joys and sorrows, their triumphs and struggles, each revelation bringing them closer. The bond that had once been forged in childhood had survived the test of time, and as they looked at each other, they knew that their story was far from over. The day turned into evening, and as the gallery lights dimmed, Leo and Lily stood together, their hearts full of the promise of a new beginning. They had found each other again, against all odds, and the future seemed full of possibilities. The oak tree painting remained a symbol of their enduring connection, a reminder of the love and friendship that had brought them back together. As they walked out of the gallery, hand in hand, the city lights twinkled around them, a beacon of hope and renewal. The years of separation, the struggles, and the uncertainties were all behind them. They were ready to face the future together, knowing that their bond was stronger than ever. The story of Leo and Lily was far from over, and as they stepped into the night, they embraced the promise of a new chapter in their shared journey. Chapter 10. A New Beginning. The city was a mosaic of lights and shadows, a vibrant tapestry that Leo and Lily now navigated together. Their reunion had rekindled a flame that had dimmed but never extinguished. As they walked side by side, they found themselves falling into a rhythm that was both familiar and exhilarating. The city, which had once seemed vast and impersonal, now felt like a canvas on which they could paint new memories. They spent the following weeks exploring the city, rediscovering each other's interests and passions. Leo was captivated by Lily's art, each piece a window into her soul. He visited her studio frequently, marveling at her ability to capture emotions with a mere brushstroke. Lily, in turn, was fascinated by Leo's stories of his adventures and the ways he had carved out a life for himself. Their days were filled with simple pleasures, morning walks in the park, leisurely brunches in cozy cafes, and quiet evenings spent in each other's company. They found solace in these moments, cherishing the ordinary as much as the extraordinary. The connection they had once shared as children had matured into a deep, meaningful relationship, one that was grounded in mutual respect and understanding. One sunny afternoon, they decided to visit a botanical garden on the outskirts of the city. The garden was a sanctuary of calm amidst the urban hustle, a place where nature's beauty was on full display. As they wandered through the winding paths, surrounded by lush greenery and colorful blooms, they were reminded of the simplicity of their childhood. The garden became a backdrop to their reflections and dreams, a place where they could imagine a future together. Lily had always found solace in nature, and the garden was a testament to her love for the natural world. She was drawn to the delicate flowers and intricate patterns of the foliage, finding inspiration in the way the garden was meticulously designed. Leo, on the other hand, was captivated by the sense of tranquility that pervaded the space. It was a stark contrast to the frenetic pace of city life, and he appreciated the opportunity to pause and reflect. As they strolled through the garden, they discovered a small pond with a wooden bridge arching over it. The water was still and clear, reflecting the sky and the surrounding trees. They paused on the bridge, taking in the serene beauty of the scene. The moment was one of peaceful contemplation, a quiet affirmation of the bond they had rekindled. Their connection continued to deepen as they shared their hopes and fears. They spoke of their pasts, their dreams for the future, and the ways in which their lives had intersected and diverged. Their conversations were marked by a mutual understanding and a shared sense of purpose. They were no longer the children who had once lived in the orphanage. They were adults with their own stories, but the essence of their bond remained unchanged. As their relationship blossomed, they began to talk about their plans for the future. They envisioned a life together, one that would honor their past while embracing the opportunities ahead. They dreamed of traveling to new places, exploring different cultures, and building a home where they could create new memories. Their dreams were grounded in a deep sense of commitment and love, a testament to the strength of their connection. The days turned into weeks, and their relationship continued to flourish. They celebrated their milestones together, from Lily's art exhibitions to Leo's career achievements. Each success was a shared victory, a reminder of the support and encouragement they offered each other. Their lives were intertwined in a way that felt both natural and extraordinary. One evening, as they sat together on a rooftop overlooking the city, they reflected on their journey. The city lights below were a sparkling sea, a visual representation of the countless possibilities that lay before them. They were content, knowing that they had found each other again and that their future was bright with promise. Lily and Leo's bond had grown stronger with each passing day. They had navigated the challenges of their past and embraced the opportunities of the present. Their love was a testament to the enduring power of connection, a reminder that even the most difficult separations could be overcome. As they looked out over the city, they felt a profound sense of gratitude. Their reunion had been a serendipitous twist of fate, one that had brought them back together and allowed them to build a future they had once only dreamed of. The journey had been long and winding, but it had led them to a place of fulfillment and happiness. In the months that followed, Lily and Leo continued to build their life together. They faced the ups and downs of life with a sense of optimism and resilience, knowing that they had each other to rely on. Their love story was a testament to the power of second chances and the strength of enduring connections. Their days were filled with laughter, love, and shared experiences. They explored new horizons, embraced new challenges, and celebrated each success along the way. The bond they had rekindled was a source of strength and joy, a reminder of the beauty of finding one's way back to a cherished connection. As they moved forward, Lily and Leo knew that their story was far from over. They had found each other again, and their love was a beacon of hope and renewal. They looked forward to the future with a sense of anticipation, knowing that their journey together was just beginning. In the end, their love story was a celebration of resilience, hope, and the power of connection. It was a testament to the fact that even the most challenging separations could be overcome, and that true love had the ability to withstand the test of time. As they looked towards the future, they did so with hearts full of promise and a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought them back together. Chapter 11. The Path Forward. The city had become a canvas for Lily and Leo's shared experiences, a backdrop to their journey of rediscovery and growth. Their days were now intertwined with new routines and adventures, each moment contributing to the tapestry of their renewed relationship. As they navigated their life together, they began to envision a future that was both exciting and filled with possibilities. One crisp autumn morning, they decided to take a short trip to the countryside, seeking a change of scenery from the urban landscape that had become their everyday world. The countryside offered a serene escape, a place where nature's beauty was unobstructed by the constraints of city life. They rented a cozy cottage nestled in a valley, surrounded by rolling hills and lush forests. Upon arrival, the cottage appeared as a quaint and inviting haven. Its rustic charm, with its stone facade and thatched roof, was a welcome contrast to the modern cityscape they were used to. The interior was warm and inviting, with a crackling fireplace and comfortable furnishings. It was a place where they could relax and immerse themselves in the tranquility of nature. The first day was spent exploring the surrounding area. They wandered through golden fields of wheat, their footsteps crunching softly on the gravel paths. The autumn leaves, in shades of amber and crimson, created a picturesque landscape that seemed almost magical. The air was crisp and invigorating, carrying with it the scent of earth and wood. They ventured into the nearby woods, where the towering trees formed a natural cathedral of green and gold. Sunlight filtered through the canopy, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. As they walked, they marveled at the beauty of their surroundings, finding solace in the peaceful isolation of the forest. In the evenings, they returned to the cottage, where the warmth of the fireplace provided a comforting refuge. They spent their nights wrapped in cozy blankets, enjoying simple meals and the soothing sounds of the crackling fire. The nights were filled with quiet reflection and shared moments of intimacy as they talked about their dreams and aspirations. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky was painted in hues of purple and orange, they took a stroll along a nearby river. The water was calm and reflective, mirroring the colors of the sky. They walked hand in hand, their steps in sync with the gentle flow of the river. The scene was tranquil and beautiful, a perfect reflection of their current state of contentment. As the days passed, they continued to explore the countryside, discovering hidden trails and scenic viewpoints. They found joy in the simple pleasures of life, picking apples from a local orchard, visiting a farmer's market, and enjoying leisurely picnics in the meadow. Each experience deepened their connection and reaffirmed their commitment to one another. The countryside retreat allowed them to step away from the hustle and bustle of city life and focus on their relationship. They found that the simplicity of their surroundings mirrored the simplicity they sought in their lives. It was a time of renewal and reflection, a chance to strengthen their bond and reaffirm their shared values. Their time in the countryside was also a period of personal growth. They both took time to reflect on their individual journeys and the paths that had led them to this point. Leo, in particular, found solace in the solitude of nature, using the time to contemplate his past and future. Lily, meanwhile, drew inspiration from the natural beauty around her, finding new ideas for her art. As their stay at the cottage drew to a close, they felt a profound sense of gratitude for the experience. The countryside had provided them with a sanctuary where they could reconnect and build a stronger foundation for their future. They had created lasting memories and deepened their understanding of each other. Returning to the city, they did so with a renewed sense of purpose and optimism. Their time in the countryside had strengthened their bond and given them a clearer vision of their future together. They were ready to embrace the next chapter of their lives with a sense of excitement and confidence. Their days back in the city were marked by a newfound appreciation for the life they had built together. They continued to support each other's dreams and aspirations, celebrating their successes and navigating the challenges with grace. Their relationship, fortified by their shared experiences, became a source of strength and joy. The city, with its vibrant energy and endless opportunities, now felt like a place where they could truly thrive. They were no longer just navigating their way through life. They were actively shaping their future together. Their love had become a guiding light, illuminating their path and inspiring them to reach for their dreams. In the months that followed, Lily and Leo continued to grow both individually and as a couple. They pursued their passions with renewed vigor and embraced the adventures that life had to offer. Their relationship was a testament to the power of love and the strength of their connection. The journey that had begun in the orphanage, with its moments of separation and reunion, had come full circle. They had faced the challenges of life and emerged stronger, their bond unbreakable. Their love story was a celebration of resilience, hope, and the enduring power of connection. As they looked towards the future, Lily and Leo knew that their story was far from over. They had built a life together that was rich with meaning and fulfillment, and they were excited to continue their journey side by side. Their love was a beacon of light, guiding them through the ups and downs of life and inspiring them to create a future filled with joy and possibility. Chapter 12, A Shared Dream. As the seasons continued their dance, Lily and Leo found themselves increasingly immersed in their shared life. Their love had grown into a deep, abiding connection, and they were eager to build a future together. Their days were filled with activities that brought them joy and allowed them to explore their individual and collective passions. One crisp winter morning, they awoke to a blanket of snow covering the city. The landscape was transformed into a pristine wonderland, with rooftops and streets blanketed in white. The transformation from the bustling cityscape to a serene winter scene inspired a sense of wonder and tranquility. The snowflakes falling gently from the sky seemed to weave a magical spell over the city, and Lily and Leo decided to embrace the beauty of the season. They began their day with a walk through the snow-covered streets, marveling at the quiet beauty that surrounded them. The city, usually alive with noise and activity, was now hushed under the snow's gentle cover. They wandered through parks and along tree-lined avenues, their footprints leaving a temporary mark on the pristine surface. The air was crisp and invigorating, carrying with it the scent of winter and the promise of new beginnings. In the afternoon, they visited a local holiday market, where the festive atmosphere was palpable. Stalls adorned with twinkling lights and colorful decorations offered an array of seasonal treats and handmade crafts. The market was a vibrant celebration of the season, and Lily and Leo enjoyed browsing through the stalls, selecting small gifts and mementos that captured the spirit of the holidays. As evening approached, they returned home to their cozy apartment, where they had prepared a warm and inviting space to spend the evening. They decorated their home with twinkling lights and seasonal ornaments, creating a festive ambience that enhanced the joy of the season. The scent of cinnamon and pine filled the air, adding to the warmth and comfort of their surroundings. Their home, now adorned with festive decorations, became a haven of peace and happiness. They spent the evening in quiet companionship, enjoying each other's presence and reflecting on the year that had passed. The soft glow of the lights and the crackling fire provided a sense of intimacy and coziness, making the evening feel special and memorable. In the days that followed, Lily and Leo continued to embrace the winter season with enthusiasm. They spent time ice skating at a local rink, their laughter echoing across the frozen surface. They also enjoyed cozy evenings by the fireplace, reading books and sharing stories of their past and future dreams. Their shared experiences during this season of reflection and renewal brought them closer together. They began to discuss their future more seriously, exploring ideas for their life together and envisioning the possibilities that lay ahead. Their conversations were marked by a sense of optimism and excitement as they imagined the adventures and challenges that awaited them. One afternoon, they visited a nearby botanical garden that had been transformed into a winter wonderland. The garden was adorned with twinkling lights and frosty decorations, creating a magical atmosphere that seemed to capture the essence of the season. They wandered through the garden, taking in the beauty of the illuminated trees and the sparkling displays. The garden, with its enchanting setting, became a symbol of the dreams and aspirations they shared. The winter months also brought a sense of introspection and growth. Lily and Leo used this time to reflect on their individual journeys and their relationship. They explored their personal goals and ambitions, finding ways to support each other's dreams while building a shared vision for their future. Their commitment to one another was evident in the way they worked together to achieve their goals and create a life that was fulfilling and meaningful. As winter gave way to spring, Lily and Leo felt a renewed sense of hope and possibility. The changing season brought with it the promise of new beginnings and fresh opportunities. They looked forward to the future with anticipation, excited about the adventures and challenges that awaited them. Spring arrived with a burst of color and vitality, transforming the city and the countryside alike. The flowers bloomed in vibrant hues, and the trees began to regrow their leaves, signaling the end of the cold season and the start of a new chapter. Lily and Leo embraced the change with enthusiasm, eager to embark on the next phase of their journey together. Their springtime activities included exploring the city's parks and gardens, participating in local festivals, and enjoying outdoor picnics. They also began to make plans for their future, discussing the possibility of starting a family and exploring opportunities for personal and professional growth. Their conversations were filled with hope and excitement as they envisioned a future that was rich with possibilities. The season of renewal and growth mirrored the evolution of their relationship. Lily and Leo's bond had deepened, and their shared experiences had strengthened their connection. They were ready to embrace the future with a sense of optimism and confidence, knowing that their love was a foundation upon which they could build their dreams. As they moved forward, they continued to support each other's aspirations and celebrate their successes. Their love story, which had begun in the orphanage and evolved through moments of separation and reunion, had become a testament to the enduring power of connection. Their journey together was a celebration of resilience, hope, and the promise of a bright future. In the end, Lily and Leo's story was one of love and transformation. Their shared experiences and dreams had shaped their relationship, creating a bond that was both strong and enduring. As they looked towards the future, they did so with hearts full of promise and a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought them to this point. Chapter 13. Building a Future. As the days grew warmer with the arrival of summer, Lily and Leo continued to savor the joys of their life together. The season brought a new energy and vibrancy to their days, and they took full advantage of the opportunities it presented. Their shared dream of building a life together became a central focus, and they approached it with determination and enthusiasm. One bright summer morning, they decided to explore the possibilities of expanding their home. They had been living in their cozy apartment for some time, and they both felt that it was time to create a space that better reflected their shared vision for the future. They began by visiting various neighborhoods, looking for a location that resonated with their desires and aspirations. Their search led them to a charming neighborhood on the outskirts of the city, where they found a vacant plot of land that seemed perfect for their plans. The location was serene and picturesque, with ample space for a home and a garden. The decision to purchase the land was an exciting milestone, and they were eager to start the process of designing and building their dream home. With the land secured, they turned their attention to the design of their new house. They spent countless hours poring over architectural plans and discussing their ideas for the layout and features of their future home. They envisioned a space that would be both functional and beautiful, with plenty of room for their growing family and the activities they enjoyed. Lily's artistic sensibilities played a significant role in the design process. She carefully considered the aesthetic details, such as the color palette, materials, and overall style of the house. Her vision was to create a space that felt warm and inviting, a true reflection of their personalities and their life together. Leo, on the other hand, focused on the practical aspects, ensuring that the design met their needs and incorporated features that would enhance their daily lives. As the plans took shape, they began to work with architects and builders to bring their vision to life. The construction process was a new and exciting challenge, and they approached it with enthusiasm and determination. They visited the site frequently, observing the progress and making decisions about the various aspects of the build. The construction site became a symbol of their shared commitment and their desire to create a home that would be a foundation for their future. Throughout the process, they faced various challenges and setbacks, but their resilience and teamwork helped them overcome these obstacles. They learned to navigate the complexities of construction and to make decisions that balanced their dreams with practical considerations. The experience strengthened their bond and deepened their appreciation for each other's strengths and contributions. As the house began to take shape, Lily and Leo felt a growing sense of anticipation. They could envision the finished product and the life they would build within its walls. The excitement of seeing their dream come to fruition was a powerful motivator, and they eagerly looked forward to the day when they would finally move into their new home. In addition to their focus on the house, they continued to nurture their relationship and their individual pursuits. They spent time together exploring new hobbies, attending cultural events, and enjoying the summer weather. Their shared experiences enriched their connection and provided them with moments of joy and relaxation amid the demands of the construction process. As the summer drew to a close, the construction of their home was nearing completion. The house was beginning to look like the vision they had imagined, with the finishing touches bringing the design to life. They were excited to see their plans realized and to begin the next chapter of their lives in their new home. The final stages of construction were marked by a sense of accomplishment and anticipation. They spent their evenings preparing for the move, organizing their belongings, and planning how they would decorate and furnish their new space. The prospect of creating a home that was uniquely theirs filled them with joy and satisfaction. On the day they moved into their new home, Lily and Leo felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The house, now fully realized, stood as a testament to their shared dreams and efforts. They celebrated the milestone by taking a moment to reflect on their journey and to appreciate the beauty of their new surroundings. Their first night in the house was a quiet and intimate occasion. They took time to explore each room, appreciating the details and envisioning the memories they would create in their new home. The sense of accomplishment and the promise of the future made the experience even more special. As they settled into their new home, Lily and Leo continued to build their life together with optimism and excitement. The house became a symbol of their shared vision and their commitment to one another. They embraced the new chapter of their lives with enthusiasm, ready to create a future filled with joy, love, and fulfillment. Their journey had come full circle, from the days of separation and reunion to the realization of their shared dreams. Their love story was a testament to the power of connection and the strength of their bond. As they looked towards the future, they did so with hearts full of hope and a deep sense of gratitude for the life they had built together. Chapter 14. A season of celebration. As autumn descended, the world around Lily and Leo transformed into a tapestry of rich, warm colors. The trees, now dressed in shades of gold, crimson, and amber, painted a vivid contrast against the crisp, blue sky. The season of harvest and reflection brought with it a sense of completion and celebration, and Lily and Leo embraced it with enthusiasm. Their new home, now fully furnished and personalized, had become a true sanctuary. The spacious rooms were adorned with carefully chosen decor, reflecting both their individual tastes and their shared experiences. The living room, with its inviting fireplace and comfortable furnishings, was a perfect place for cozy gatherings and quiet evenings. The garden, lush and vibrant, provided a peaceful retreat and a space for outdoor enjoyment. The arrival of autumn also marked a special occasion, their wedding anniversary. The first anniversary in their new home was a milestone that they approached with joy and gratitude. They decided to celebrate it in a meaningful way, planning a series of activities that would highlight the significance of the occasion and create lasting memories. To commemorate their anniversary, Lily and Leo hosted a celebration at their home, inviting close friends and family to join in the festivities. They meticulously planned every detail, from the decor to the menu, ensuring that the event would reflect their love and appreciation for those who had supported them throughout their journey. The day of the celebration arrived, and the house was transformed into a festive haven. String lights and autumnal decorations adorned the space, creating a warm and inviting atmosphere. The aroma of delicious food filled the air, and the table was set with care, featuring a variety of dishes and treats that highlighted the flavors of the season. As guests arrived, the atmosphere was filled with laughter and joy. The gathering was a testament to the connections and relationships that had been nurtured over the years. Lily and Leo were surrounded by loved ones who had shared in their journey and were eager to celebrate their happiness. The evening was filled with heartfelt moments, as guests shared stories and memories of Lily and Leo. The celebration was a reflection of the deep bonds they had formed and the support they had received along the way. The event was not only a celebration of their anniversary, but also a recognition of the importance of the people who had been a part of their lives. As the night progressed, Lily and Leo took a moment to reflect on their journey. They wandered through their home, admiring the decorations and the way their personal touches had come together to create a space that was uniquely theirs. The house, with its warm and welcoming ambience, felt like a true representation of their love and shared experiences. After the celebration, they spent the following days enjoying the autumn season. They took leisurely walks through the city's parks, appreciating the beauty of the changing leaves and the crisp, cool air. They also explored local harvest festivals and markets, indulging in seasonal treats and participating in activities that highlighted the joys of the season. One weekend, they decided to visit a nearby vineyard that was renowned for its autumn harvest. The vineyard, with its sprawling rows of grapevines and picturesque views, offered a serene escape from the city. They spent the day exploring the vineyard, sampling the wine, and enjoying a picnic amid the vines. The experience was a celebration of the season's bounty and a reminder of the beauty of nature. As autumn continued, Lily and Leo found themselves increasingly immersed in the season's traditions and celebrations. They visited pumpkin patches, carved pumpkins together, and enjoyed the festive atmosphere of Halloween. Their shared experiences during this time deepened their connection and allowed them to create new memories. The autumn season was also a time of reflection and planning for the future. Lily and Leo spent time discussing their goals and aspirations, both individually and as a couple. They explored ideas for new projects and activities, excited about the possibilities that lay ahead. As the season drew to a close, they looked forward to the winter months with anticipation. The transition from autumn to winter was marked by a sense of completion and renewal, and they were eager to embrace the new opportunities that the coming season would bring. Their anniversary celebration, with its focus on gratitude and connection, had strengthened their bond and reaffirmed their commitment to one another. The autumn season, with its beauty and significance, had provided them with a meaningful backdrop for their reflections and celebrations. As they prepared to welcome the winter, Lily and Leo did so with hearts full of joy and a deep sense of appreciation for the life they had built together. Their love story, marked by moments of celebration and reflection, continued to evolve and flourish. They looked forward to the future with optimism, ready to embrace the new experiences and adventures that awaited them. Chapter 15. A New Beginning. As the final days of autumn gave way to the chill of winter, Lily and Leo experienced a profound sense of anticipation. The transition from the vibrant colors of fall to the serene whiteness of winter brought with it a period of reflection and preparation. The year had been one of significant change and growth, and the arrival of winter marked the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. The first snowfall blanketed the city in a layer of pristine white. The sight of snow-covered streets and rooftops was enchanting, turning the familiar landscape into a winter wonderland. Lily and Leo took advantage of the serene beauty, spending their days exploring the city's winter charm. They enjoyed the tranquility of freshly fallen snow and the peaceful ambience it brought. One crisp winter morning, Lily and Leo decided to embark on a new adventure, a journey to a remote cabin in the mountains. The cabin, nestled in a secluded location, promised a retreat from the hustle and bustle of city life and an opportunity to reconnect with nature. They packed their belongings and set off on the journey, excited about the prospect of a peaceful escape. The drive to the cabin took them through winding roads and snowy landscapes. The journey was filled with a sense of adventure and wonder, as they marveled at the beauty of the winter scenery. The snow-covered mountains and dense forests created a picturesque backdrop for their trip, adding to the anticipation of their arrival. When they reached the cabin, they were greeted by its rustic charm and cozy atmosphere. The cabin, with its wooden beams and stone fireplace, was the perfect setting for a winter retreat. They unloaded their belongings and began to settle in, creating a warm and inviting space that would be their home for the next few days. The days at the cabin were filled with a sense of relaxation and contentment. Lily and Leo spent their time exploring the surrounding area, taking leisurely walks through the snow-covered woods and enjoying the tranquility of the mountains. The silence of the winter landscape was a stark contrast to the busy city life they were accustomed to, providing them with a welcome sense of peace. In the evenings, they enjoyed the comfort of the cabin, cozying up by the fire and reflecting on their journey. The crackling of the fire and the warmth of the cabin created a serene ambience, making it the perfect setting for introspection and relaxation. They spent their time reading, writing, and simply enjoying each other's company. One particularly cold evening, they decided to venture outside to experience the beauty of the winter night. The sky was clear, and the stars sparkled brightly against the dark backdrop. The crisp air and the stillness of the night created a magical atmosphere, and they walked hand in hand, savoring the serenity of the moment. Their time at the cabin provided them with an opportunity to reflect on their lives and their relationship. They discussed their dreams and aspirations, both for themselves and for their future together. The peaceful setting allowed them to contemplate their goals and the direction they wanted their lives to take. As the days passed, they began to make plans for the new year. They envisioned a future filled with new experiences and opportunities, and they were eager to embrace the challenges and adventures that awaited them. Their discussions were filled with excitement and hope, as they looked forward to the possibilities that the coming year would bring. The final night at the cabin was a time of celebration and reflection. They enjoyed a special dinner by the fire, marking the end of their retreat and the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. The evening was filled with a sense of gratitude and anticipation, as they prepared to return to their city life and the opportunities it held. Upon returning to the city, Lily and Leo felt rejuvenated and inspired. The retreat had provided them with a fresh perspective and a renewed sense of purpose. They were eager to put their plans into action and to embrace the new year with enthusiasm and optimism. The transition from winter to spring brought with it a sense of renewal and growth. Lily and Leo continued to build on the foundation they had established, pursuing their goals and exploring new opportunities. Their experiences at the cabin had deepened their connection and strengthened their resolve to create a fulfilling and meaningful life together. As the seasons changed, Lily and Leo's journey continued to evolve. They embraced the challenges and joys that life brought, always guided by their love and commitment to one another. Their story was a testament to the power of connection and the strength of their bond. In the end, their journey was marked by moments of celebration, reflection, and growth. Their love story, which had begun in the orphanage and evolved through separation and reunion, had become a testament to the enduring power of connection. As they looked towards the future, they did so with hearts full of hope and a deep sense of gratitude for the life they had built together. Chapter 16. Eternity Together. As winter yielded to the first signs of spring, Lily and Leo felt a renewed sense of hope and excitement. The arrival of the new season symbolized not only a time of renewal, but also a reflection of their journey together. Their lives had been marked by significant milestones, and the dawn of spring brought with it a promise of new beginnings and continued growth. The city awoke from its winter slumber, with the once barren trees now budding with fresh leaves and vibrant blossoms. The air was filled with the sweet scent of flowers, and the days grew longer and warmer. Lily and Leo embraced the changing season with open hearts, ready to explore the new opportunities that awaited them. Springtime was an ideal setting for the next phase of their journey. They decided to celebrate the season by hosting a special event at their home, inviting friends and family to join them in marking this new chapter. The celebration was to be a reflection of their love and the life they had built together, a testament to the beauty of their shared experiences. The preparations for the event were a labor of love. Lily and Leo decorated their home with springtime elegance, using fresh flowers and pastel colors to create a cheerful and inviting atmosphere. The garden, now in full bloom, was transformed into a picturesque setting for outdoor gatherings. They arranged seating, prepared refreshments, and ensured that every detail reflected the joy and warmth they felt. As the day of the celebration approached, anticipation filled the air. Lily and Leo spent time reminiscing about their journey and looking forward to the future. Their reflections were marked by a deep sense of appreciation for the life they had built and the people who had supported them along the way. The day of the celebration arrived, and the house was alive with activity. Guests arrived to find a beautifully arranged space, with the garden and home perfectly suited for the occasion. The event was filled with laughter, joy, and a sense of togetherness as friends and family came together to share in the happiness of Lily and Leo. Throughout the event, Lily and Leo took time to connect with their loved ones, sharing stories and enjoying the company of those who had been a part of their journey. The celebration was a testament to the importance of relationships and the joy that comes from sharing special moments with those who matter most. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden light over the gathering, Lily and Leo took a moment to step away from the festivities. They walked through their garden, hand in hand, taking in the beauty of the spring evening. The tranquility of the moment provided them with an opportunity to reflect on their journey and the significance of their life together. They wandered through the garden, appreciating the vibrant colors and the fragrance of the flowers. The garden had become a symbol of their growth and the beauty of their relationship. The evening was a perfect culmination of their journey, marking the transition from the past to a future filled with promise and potential. As the night drew to a close, the celebration came to an end. Lily and Leo bid farewell to their guests, feeling a profound sense of fulfillment and gratitude. The event had been a perfect reflection of their love and the life they had built together, and they were ready to embrace the future with optimism and excitement. In the quiet of their home, Lily and Leo took a moment to reflect on the evening and their journey. They felt a deep sense of contentment and joy, knowing that they had created a life filled with love, connection, and meaningful experiences. Their story, which had begun in the orphanage and evolved through separation and reunion, had come full circle. As they looked towards the future, Lily and Leo felt a renewed sense of purpose and excitement. The spring season was a reminder of the endless possibilities that lay ahead and the beauty of the life they had built together. They were ready to embrace the new chapter with hearts full of hope and a deep appreciation for the journey that had brought them to this moment. Their love story, marked by moments of joy, challenge, and growth, was a testament to the enduring power of connection and the strength of their bond. As they moved forward, they did so with a sense of excitement and anticipation, eager to continue building their life together and creating new memories. In the end, Lily and Leo's journey was a celebration of love and the beauty of shared experiences. Their story was a testament to the power of connection and the joy that comes from building a life with someone you cherish. As they looked towards the future, they did so with hearts full of love and a deep sense of gratitude for the life they had built together. Their journey was a beautiful reflection of the enduring power of love and the promise of a future filled with endless possibilities.